Some video game moments are more than just pixels and storylines. They're powerful experiences that touch our hearts and stir our souls. Today, we're exploring 10 moments from video games that are bound to bring a tear to your eye. As always, I am Daniel, and today, 10 times video games made us cry. Anyone who's played Life is Strange knows it's a true emotional roller coaster. It's a story driven by a single powerful desire, the wish to fix the past. But the game teaches us a brutal lesson about the consequences of playing God, and nowhere is that lesson more painful than in this unforgettable moment. Driven by a love for her best friend, Max Caulfield makes the ultimate choice. She travels back to the day Chloe's father, William, died, and with a simple act, prevents the fatal car crash. She returns to a present she believes is better, only to be met with a chilling, silent reality. The punk rock posters are gone, the rebellious energy has vanished, and a wheelchair ramp leads to the front door. Inside, she finds a Chloe Price that is almost unrecognizable. The once vibrant, fiery girl who raged against the world is now confined to a wheelchair, paralyzed from the neck down. Her body is broken, but it's the light that has gone out in her eyes that is truly devastating. This isn't just a different timeline, it's a prison of Max's own making. Every breath Chloe takes is a struggle, every moment a painful reminder of the life that was stolen from her. The weight of this new reality becomes almost unbearable when Chloe, weary of the constant pain and suffering, makes a final desperate request of her friend, to help her end it all. The moment is a crushing testament to the game's core theme. In her attempt to erase one tragedy, Max inadvertently created another, arguably more profound one. It forces players to confront the true cost of their power, leaving them with a sense of guilt and a heartbreaking lesson. Some scars can't be healed, and some fates are worse than death. In a world overrun by the dead, it was the bond between the living that truly defined Telltale's The Walking Dead. Over 5 episodes, we didn't just play as Lee Everett, we became a father figure to Clementine, a small, terrified girl left all alone. We taught her how to survive, how to find her strength, and, most importantly, how to hold on to her humanity in a world that had lost its own. Every choice we made was weighed against a single question: what will this teach her? That's what makes the final act so utterly devastating. The cruel, inevitable bite isn't just a death sentence for Lee, it's a ticking clock that transforms his final hours into a desperate final lesson for the child he's come to love as his own. With his strength failing and the fever taking hold, his sole focus is getting Clementine to safety, imparting every last piece of wisdom he can before he's gone forever. The journey ends in a small, quiet room, a temporary haven from the horrors outside. But the real horror is inside. Lee, pale and weak, makes his final request: to be handcuffed to a radiator to protect Clementine from the monster he is about to become. What follows is one of the most soul-crushing choices in gaming history. Through tears, a young girl must decide the fate of the only parent she has left. As Lee, you guide her. Do you ask this child to carry the unbearable weight of putting you down, a final, brutal act of mercy? Or do you tell her to save herself the trauma and leave you to turn, forcing her to walk out that door alone, leaving the man who saved her to become one of the very things he taught her to fear? There is no right answer. There is no good ending. Whether she pulls the trigger or walks away, the outcome is the same: a gut-wrenching farewell that leaves an indelible scar on both Clementine and the player. It's a masterclass in interactive tragedy, a final, haunting lesson on love and loss at the end of the world.
Many gamers might dismiss the notion that a hyper-masculine, cover-based shooter could deliver a truly profound emotional gut punch. A series known for chainsaw bayonets and curb-stomping aliens seems like the last place you'd find a moment of heartbreaking tragedy. But those who have played Gears of War 2 know that beneath the grit and gore lies one of the most devastating scenes in all of gaming. For 2 entire games, Dominic Santiago's personal war wasn't just against the Locust Horde. It was a desperate, hopeful search for his missing wife, Maria. Through every firefight and every quiet moment, her memory was his driving force. The small, worn photo he carried was a constant reminder of the life he was fighting to get back to, a symbol of hope in a world that had none. After finally tracking her to a desolate Locust processing center, the moment of truth arrives. With Marcus at his side, Dom fights his way through hordes of enemies, his hope building with every step. He opens the pod, expecting to finally find the woman he loves. Instead, what emerges is a nightmare. The person before him is a hollowed-out shell of Maria, a victim of the Locust's horrific torture. Malnourished, scarred, and mentally broken beyond any hope of recovery, her eyes are vacant, unable to even recognize the man who crossed a war-torn planet for her. The raw emotion is staggering. We watch as this hardened soldier's hope crumbles into dust in real time. His disbelief turns to dawning horror, and finally, to soul-crushing acceptance. There is no rescue here. There is no happy ending. He cradles her in his arms, whispering a final, tearful apology to a woman who is already gone. In that devastating moment, Dom realizes that the ultimate act of love he has left to give is not a rescue, but a release. With the words, "I love you," he ends her suffering and in doing so, shatters his own soul. It's a tragic, unforgettable moment that proves even in the most action-packed stories, the deepest wounds are the ones inflicted on the heart.
The main quest of The Witcher 3 isn't really about saving the world. It's about finding your daughter. For 100 hours or more, every choice, every battle, every conversation is just another step on the long road back to Ciri. She is the heart of the story, the single driving force behind Geralt's entire journey. You're not just a Witcher doing a job. You're a father desperate to protect your child from a world that wants to use her or destroy her. The game makes you care deeply. So when you finally reach the end, you believe you've earned a reunion. But in the game's worst ending, your choices as a father come back to haunt you. Ciri enters the portal to face the White Frost, and she doesn't come back. The world is saved, but the victory is completely hollow. We find Geralt in a desolate swamp, not on a new adventure, but on a grim final mission. He's hunting down the last crone, the one who stole Ciri's medallion. In a dark, filthy hut, he stares at the small, silver wolf in his hands. You hear monsters swarming outside, their screeches filling the air. This is a fight Geralt could easily win, but he doesn't move. He doesn't even draw his sword. He just sits there and waits for the end. Because without her, there's nothing left to fight for. The choices you made as a father were the only ones that ever truly mattered.
Arthur Morgan isn't just a character we control, he's a man we come to inhabit. A loyal, rugged enforcer for a gang in a world that no longer wants them. For dozens of hours, we live his life, follow his code, and believe in his unwavering loyalty to his father figure, Dutch van der Linde. That loyalty is shattered by two things: a creeping, insidious doubt, and a doctor's diagnosis that serves as a death sentence. Arthur's tuberculosis isn't just a simple plot device, it's the catalyst that forces him to confront the man he has become. Suddenly, every sunrise holds more meaning, and every choice is weighed against the little time he has left. This is where his journey truly begins. Not a quest for money or survival, but a desperate final search for redemption. This all culminates in one of the most poignant sequences in gaming history. His final ride back to camp is a somber, haunting journey. As the music swells, the voices of those he helped and those he wronged echo in his memory. It's a powerful, meditative reflection on a life of violence and loyalty, a final, lonely ride towards the inevitable. He ensures John Marston, the man who represents a future and a family he can never have, escapes. Left alone, beaten and broken, Arthur Morgan doesn't die by a bullet. With what little energy he has left, he drags his failing body to the edge of the mountain and in a moment of profound peace, watches his last sunrise. It's a beautiful and utterly heartbreaking end to one of gaming's greatest protagonists, a final, peaceful breath after a lifetime of storms.
For an entire generation, one death in the world of Final Fantasy VII was the ultimate tragedy. But for those who played its prequel, Crisis Core, there is another farewell that is arguably even more devastating. We knew where Zack Fair's story was headed. We knew his fate was sealed, but knowing what's coming doesn't soften the blow. It just makes every hopeful moment leading up to it all the more painful. After a grueling journey, Zack, the ever-optimistic hero, is on the final stretch home, carrying his near-catatonic friend Cloud on his back. Midgar is in sight, He's so close to seeing Aerith again, to fulfilling the promises he made, but on a desolate cliffside, fate finally catches up. The Shinra army descends, a sea of soldiers between him and the life he longs for. A battle you are destined to lose. As Zack makes his final defiant stand against an impossible horde, the game's own system begins to break down. The digital mind wave, the slot machine of Zack's memories and emotions, starts to glitch and fail. The faces of his friends, of his mentor Angeal, of the girl he promised to come home to, Aerith, they flicker, corrupt, and vanish one by one. The game's interface is literally showing you his life flashing before his eyes as his spirit is worn away by the endless assault. Eventually, it becomes too much. Riddled with bullets, Zack collapses. As his life fades, his final thoughts are of Aerith, the memories of their time together, a final, fleeting comfort. But his story doesn't end in despair. In his final moments, he crawls to a barely conscious Cloud and entrusts him with the Buster Sword, his weapon, his honor, and his dream. "You'll be my living legacy," he says with his final breath. We didn't just watch a hero die, we played through the heroic, hopeless last stand of a man who gave everything to protect a friend and pass on a dream, leaving a scar on our hearts that would last a lifetime. Firewatch offers a breathtakingly beautiful wilderness, but this beauty hides a profound and inescapable melancholy. You aren't here for an adventure, you're here to run away. We step into the shoes of Henry, a man escaping not a monster or a villain, but the slow, heartbreaking decay of his wife's mind due to early onset dementia. The game's opening text adventure is a masterclass in quiet tragedy, forcing you to make choices that detail the erosion of a loving marriage, leaving you with a palpable sense of guilt and grief before you even see the forest. His only lifeline, his only human connection in this vast, lonely wilderness is a voice on the other end of a walkie-talkie. Delilah. She is his supervisor, his confidant, his only friend. Through witty banter, shared jokes, and late-night confessions under a canopy of stars, a deep and intimate bond is forged. A fragile, hopeful connection that begins to feel like a potential escape, a chance at a different life, far from the tragedy he left behind. As the mysterious plot unfolds around you, it almost feels like a welcome distraction for both Henry and the player. But the game's final, cruel twist is that there is no grand conspiracy. There is no villain to defeat. The mystery unravels to reveal nothing more than another man broken by his own grief and hiding from his own loss. As the fires finally close in, forcing an evacuation, you have one last desperate conversation with Delilah. The promise of finally meeting her, of making this connection tangible and real, dissolves into static. She tells you to go back to your wife. She's gone. And Henry is left completely and utterly alone, with nothing but the smoke and the sobering truth. The forest was just a temporary hiding place. The game leaves you with a crushing sense of loneliness, a poignant reminder that no matter how far you run, you can't escape your own heart.
After the hell Joel and Ellie went through in The Last of Us, seeing them in the quiet safety of Jackson felt earned. It felt right. We saw him as a father, a community member, a man finally healing. The game lets you settle into that comfort, that fragile hope that just maybe they'd get a happy ending. And then it rips that hope away with its bare hands. What makes it so cruel is that it begins with an act of kindness. Joel, the man who trusted no one, helped a stranger, and for his trouble, he's led into a room where his past finally catches up to him. There is no heroic last stand, just a man on his knees, surrounded by strangers filled with hate. Pinned down, helpless, forced to witness every agonizing second through Ellie's eyes. You see the man who fought his way across a country for you, the man who became your father, reduced to nothing. The sound of that final, brutal swing is a sound that echoes in your head for the rest of the game. That single act of violence ends a story we loved and begins a new one, fueled by a rage so deep it consumes everything, including the player.
Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is a standout puzzle game, but its true genius lies not in its clever puzzles, but in its profound, wordless storytelling. The game does something unique. It maps each of the two brothers to a single analog stick on your controller. You don't control one, then the other. You control them both at the same time. Your brain slowly learns to treat them not as two separate characters, but as a single coordinated entity.
This isn't just a mechanic, it's the language the game uses to communicate the unbreakable bond of brotherhood. Throughout their beautiful, somber fairy tale journey to find a cure for their ailing father, they rely on each other completely. The older, stronger brother pulls levers, while the younger, smaller brother slips through bars. You feel their synergy in your own two hands. They are inseparable, two halves of a whole, and the game spends its entire runtime training your muscle memory to accept this as fact. And then, after training you to see them as one, the game uses that very connection to shatter your heart. Their journey takes a devastating turn, and the two brothers are separated by a profound and irreversible tragedy. Suddenly, that perfect synergy you mastered is broken. You feel the loss not just in the story, but in your own hands, as the controls themselves are fundamentally altered to reflect an unbearable emptiness. A part of your gameplay experience is literally stripped away, leaving you to guide the younger brother forward, truly and heartbreakingly alone. The game's final, devastating masterstroke is a moment of pure genius. The younger brother, paralyzed by a deep-seated fear, must face one last obstacle alone. To help him overcome it, the game asks you, the player, to perform an action that feels both mechanically and emotionally impossible. You must draw upon the very bond you spent the entire game building, using the memory of his brother's strength to give him the courage to go on. It is a moment that perfectly fuses gameplay and narrative, ensuring the tears you shed are for a loss you have felt in your very hands right up to the very end.
Some games aren't about the epic battles you win, but about the bonds you forge and the promises you keep. Persona 3 is a story about time, the time you're given, and the time you have with the people who become your world. Over the course of a single, unforgettable year, you don't just fight shadows in the dead of night, you build a life. You study for exams, you share meals, and through the game's social link system, you help a group of isolated teenagers find their strength and become a true, unshakable family. This is what makes the ending so profoundly devastating. To save the world from an inevitable apocalypse, the protagonist makes the ultimate sacrifice, using their own life force to become a great seal, a silent, eternal barrier to protect humanity. But the tragedy isn't the grand cosmic sacrifice itself, it's the quiet, heartbreaking epilogue that follows. Before that final battle, you make a promise to your friends that, no matter what, you will all meet on the school rooftop on graduation day. After the final battle, your friends' memories of the conflict are erased, but the promise remains, a faint echo in their hearts. For a month, your character holds on, their life force slowly draining away, sustained by nothing more than the sheer force of will to fulfill that one last promise. On a bright, sunny graduation day, you make your way to the rooftop. You are tired, so incredibly tired, but you are at peace. You find Aegis, the android who learned to love, waiting for you. As you lay your head on her lap and feel the warmth of the sun, she finally understands the gravity of your sacrifice. With tears in her eyes, she vows to always protect you. Just then, your friends remember everything. They remember the promise and they joyfully run to the roof to meet you. You hear their familiar voices calling your name. You know they are coming. You know you kept your word. And as you feel their presence drawing near, you finally allow yourself to rest, closing your eyes for the last time. They arrive not to a celebration, but to a silent, heartbreaking farewell. And if that final peaceful smile doesn't break you, the ending credit song certainly will. A beautiful, somber melody that serves as a final eulogy for the hero who gave everything for the memories they all shared. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course make sure to turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. Lastly, remember to drink some water and get some sun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.